House Bill 3928 has changed the way we serve some of our most vulnerable students. It's no longer about what we used to do, it's about what we must do now. Today we'll talk about what the law means, where we currently stand, and most importantly, how can we move forward in a way that is smart, compliant, and student-centered. House Bill 3928 is a major shift in how we are required to serve students identified with dyslexia. Before this law, many students received services under Section 504 plans. Now a full individual evaluation, FIE, is required for every dyslexia student, bringing them under the special education umbrella instead of just 504. Dyslexia often comes with comorbidities like ADHD, anxiety, and learning disabilities, meaning these evaluations need more comprehensive than ever before. The shift is happening at a time when our special education departments are already stretched thin. As one special education director put it, DIACs are already overworked and under intense pressure to complete regular evaluations. So while the goal is better to serve students, we must also face a very real challenge this creates for staffing, timeline, and resources. Yes, House Bill 3928 raises the bar, but it also raises a big question about how we get this work done without overwhelming our teams. Let's dive into the major challenges we'll need to take to tackle this together. The purpose of this evaluation is simple but critical. We need to understand whether our current staffing and resource allocations are enough to meet the rising demands of House Bill 3928 has created. Specifically, we're focused on three key areas. First, how the increased evaluation demands are affecting our DIADs and special education staff. Second, whether we have hired or need to hire additional DIACs to stay compliant with the state mandated testing timeline. And third, how can we better define the role of dyslexia specialists, making sure they're an active part of the multidisciplinary teams and are equipped to support compliance with House Bill 3928. This evaluation isn't just about the numbers, it's about making sure that we have the right people in the right places doing the right work so that the students get the services they need and the staff are supported and not overwhelmed. Next, we're going to take a closer look at what the earlier findings are showing us about our current capacity and gaps. This evaluation is designed to answer some of the most important questions that will help guide our next steps. First, we need to know exactly how many evaluations do diagnosticians are responsible for or need to complete by May 22nd, 2025. Second, how many additional dyslexia students as a result of House Bill 3928 will need to be added to this list. And third, we are looking at the time investment. How long does it actually take for a DIAC to test a student and write a full report? Fourth, once we have those numbers, we can calculate how many additional DIACs we will realistically need to meet these new demands while staying within the state timelines. And finally, we're gathering feedback from current DIACs because it's critical to understand the perceptions of burnout and turnover risk. If we don't listen to the people doing the work, we risk losing the very staff we depend on. This evaluation is not just about the numbers, it's about understanding the full human and the operational impact that these changes can have on our district. Now that we have the questions, let's take a look at the early trends we're seeing in the data. We will use a mixed method approach, combining data reviews, surveys, and interviews. This would include gap analysis, comparing current versus projected needs, and evaluation of staffing levels, timelines, perceptions of those within those timelines or on the front line. It would also assess current practice, staff caseloads, projected student needs to ensure compliance with state and federal timelines. The attending audience includes the special education and the 504 administrators, the dyslexia coordinator, and the school board and the superintendent. This slide is outlining stakeholders and their priorities. We did a formative focus, and the stakeholders that we looked at was the special ed director and 504 coordinator, the board of trustees, and Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District families. We asked these questions in our survey to our special ed director and 501 coordinator. How many evaluations does each diagnostician is currently completing? How many additional dyslexia students need evaluations? And how long does these diags need to complete testing and write the full report? Questions asked to the Board of Trustees. Must we hire an additional diag based on the data that we just collect? Can job duties be adjusted or reallocated to alleviate some of this overload? And then we asked the Goose Creek families, will this new mandate affect my current student evaluation schedules? Will my students with dyslexia receive equitable service? These are all questions that we took into our formative assessment so we can better address the needs of our district in support of House Bill 3928. Here, the timeline outlines what needs to be done in order to have an accurate evaluation on if we need to hire an additional DAG. So we need to evaluate in the timeline. We're going to allocate 1 to 2 weeks to document and data review. And then in week 3, we're going to distribute the staff surveys. In week 3, we're going to do projections of future population increase. Then once we have that information, we can analyze the data, which will occur in week 3 once we get that information in. And then in week 4, we'll create or initialize our final reporting. And 5, we'll report these findings. And then week 6, we'll deliver our final report. As a result of our mixed method research, here's a quick overview of the budget for the evaluation of this project. Our total district cost comes to $500. We'll allocate $150 for materials and supplies that support the evaluation process. Software, computer, phones, and email service are being provided in kind, and meaning there's no additional cost to the district for those items. Print and duplication costs for reports, forms, and communication, we're budgeting around $200. Gas and travel expenses related to site visits and interviews are budgeted at $150. Overall, we kept the district costs very lean and focused on. Thanks to all in-kind support covering many of the technology and communication needs. With the budget streamlined and the evaluation underway, let's talk about the next steps and recommendations based on what we have been learning. How is this impacting Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District? For example, suppose that a district finds that a diagnostician burnout is especially high at 3 campuses with the largest caseloads. In response, we have decided to reassign caseloads more evenly across campuses and hire 1 additional full-time evaluator and introduce flexible work during a peak IEP seasons. 6 months later, we will do exit surveys to see the satisfaction and has it improved. We're going to evaluate timelines. And this is the heart of the work, building a system that's both compliant and sustainable for our students, our staff, and our future. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you the upcoming program evaluations for Goose Creek Independent School District. Our recommendations will support the students, staff, and all stakeholders within this great community. A final report will be submitted within 6 months.